Hi, welcome to Solo Playing Tips. Now, I was recently playing League of Dungeoneers, and that's a kind of it's a tabletop board game, but it's one of these. It's kind of like AD&D, but as a board game. No game master. It's all random tables, and yeah, it kind of uh, you can either play a main quest or you can just play open world and go and do adventures. And there's so many random elements in it. It's really hard to get the same sort of dungeon twice or same adventure twice. Now, when we set up the play, we were all role players and we all kind of created characters and we all started to think about our kind of backstories and things like that. And we started to have an idea of what we would like to do. And then because the world was completely random and the game is the dungeons are random and the missions are random, there was actually very little chance of us ever achieving what we set out, what we had in mind for our characters. And we portrayed our characters one way, but then you soon find that you may have wanted to be a kind of elegant swashbuckler, but to survive, you just had to take the best equipment you could get every time. So you kind of went from nice character concept to generic warrior in a couple of levels. It just funneled you down to generic character because you just needed the advantages that the superior equipment would give you, and so on. This wasn't a role playing game; it's a board game. We you can never get that kind of completely open world kind of go anywhere, do anything. From a board game, that's what role playing games do the best. But thinking about that and then thinking about our solo games, it's really easy to create side quests in a solo game. As soon as you get an unexpected positive or negative answer to a fairly simple question to a fairly common NPC, it's something that could happen 20 times a day. It will make you think, oh, why did they say no? Why did they refuse me at the inn? Why did they not want to sell me weapons? Any of these kind of minor little questions. And before you know it, you can say, well, they did that because, you know, someone has told them that, we're evil. Someone has said that they can't trade with us. No one can trade with us. And you think, well, why did that happen? And before you know it, you're knocking over dominoes and you've got a side quest. Someone's been bad mouthing you. You want to find that, find that, solve that. And it started off as a really minor problem, just wanting to buy some arrows. And before you know it, you've got a side quest involving organized crime and corrupt nobles and all sorts. That's great. In an open world game, you can do that all the time. But there is a danger that before you get to the end of that little side quest, there'll be another odd little positive or negative answer. And that can create another side quest. Maybe this person is actually a traitor and they're backstabbing the people that were out to get you, but not to be on your side, but to be on someone else's side, a third faction. And then you might go down that rabbit hole, and then another one happens, and before you know it, you're kind of in some kind of infinite loop of to solve that you have to solve this, to solve this, to solve this, to solve this, just to buy some arrows, and you've made no progress towards your kind of what you saw as your character's kind of goal in life, their mission, their main quest, or even some other quest that you've involved in the game. And you can end up with kind of this death by a thousand side quests. Whereas if you like the kind of neatness of a plot hook, an adventure, a conclusion, a reward, moving on, the next plot hook, the next adventure, the next reward, and especially if your game that you're playing has an experience system that actually is based on how many completed adventures, rather than how many things you've killed or how many gold pieces you've stolen. Actually, finishing the adventures becomes even more important. Now, if you keep your eye on that end goal, it can try and when there's a potential side quest, you can kind of say, okay, I've got a negative answer. I've got these kind of inspiration words off my spark tables, and you kind of have a choice then if you can make this something minor that is going to you can complete in that room in that scene, um, and you then resolve it and move on. So it's all about kind of NPC interaction or a very minor problem to solve, or you can make the choice of this is a really good way to introduce the mob or the undead or a lich or something. And so you're making a decision. You're interpreting the questions off the smart tables, and you can choose whether to divert yourself away from completing the adventure you're on into a side quest, or making it sufficiently minor that you can keep on, uh, moving forward. And there's not a right or wrong to it. There are times when maybe you are not tough enough to solve the end quest as you picture it. You might be second level, but your vision of the final battle is all kind of lightning bolts and meteor storms and things like that. And so a second level wizard is not going to be to do that. It's not going to give you the ending you want. So side quests and a bit of extra experience and maybe some extra treasures along the way might actually be what your character needs to build them up. In which case, yeah, go for it. On the other hand, you could have been on the cusp of solving this adventure so many times and then diverted yourself off on a different route that actually that's a time to say, no, let's finish this and then I'll start a new adventure. You create some kind of plot hook from that. Okay, so that's it. There are times when you want to keep your eyes on the prize and ignore potential side quests and move your story forward. But there are other times when you want to explore the world in every possible direction. Okay, thank you for watching.